My name is Tiffany. The dining room was deathly silent after the front door slammed shut. The only sound was the faint clinking of the chandelier above us. My parents, the people who gave me life, had just been let out of the mansion like common criminals. It was a scene straight out of a nightmare. I cast my mind back to the days before this fateful Thanksgiving. My family was part of the elite in New York City. My grandfather, Mr. Thompson, was a titan in the tech industry, amassing a fortune through his innovative startups. My father, David, was a manager in one of his companies, and my mother, Linda, was a socialite who loved to show off at charity events. On the surface, we were the perfect family, but little did I know the darkness that lurked beneath. After my grandmother passed away last year, my grandfather became more reclusive. My father always said he was just old and needed our care. When he proposed inviting my grandfather to Thanksgiving dinner, I thought it was a kind gesture. Little did I know it was a trap. In the week leading up to the holiday, our mansion was transformed into a stage. My mother was like a drill sergeant, barking orders at the staff. Everything has to be perfect. Mr. Thompson notices every little thing, she'd scream. My father was obsessed with the menu and the wine. He loves his vintage champagne. Make sure it's chilled to perfection, he'd mutter. One night, I overheard my parents talking. I wasn't supposed to hear it. My father forgot to end the call, and suddenly, his cold, calculating voice filled my room. That old man won't make it through the night after our Thanksgiving surprise, he said. Then came my mother's sinister laugh. The mansion and the company will be ours by Christmas. My heart stopped. I thought it was a sick joke at first. But then my father said, "Make sure the poison is ready." That's when I realized it was a real plan. Shaking, I ended the call and immediately dialed my grandfather's number. "Grandpa, it's me, Tiffany. Please don't come to dinner," I pleaded. He paused for a moment and then said calmly, "Don't worry, dear. I'll be there, and I won't be alone." As the days passed, my parents' behavior became even more suspicious. My mother kept telling me to pour the first glass of champagne for my grandfather when he arrived. "You're his favorite. He'll never suspect a thing," she said with a fake smile. Inside, I was in turmoil. I wanted to scream and expose their evil plot, but I was too afraid. On Thanksgiving morning, the atmosphere in the house was thick with tension. My mother was humming a cheerful tune in the kitchen, but her eyes were cold and calculating. "Tiffany, set the dining table. Everything must be perfect for your grandfather," she ordered. My father paced back and forth near the fireplace, checking his watch every few minutes. "He's never late. He's too proud to keep anyone waiting," he muttered. Around 4:30 p.m. I snuck into my room to text my grandfather. "Are you still coming? Please tell me you're safe," I typed with trembling fingers.
There was no reply.
As the sun began to set, casting long shadows across the marble floors, my father stood by the window, frowning. "He's late. He's making us wait," he said angrily. My mother replied coldly, "He always wants to be in control." Then, at exactly 6 p.m., headlights appeared through the front gate. My mother straightened her diamond necklace and whispered, "Showtime." The doorbell rang, and my father opened the door. There stood my grandfather, tall and imposing in his black suit. His silver hair glistened under the porch light. But he wasn't alone. A man in a dark suit and a woman in a business suit stepped in behind him. "David, Linda," my grandfather said smoothly. "This is Mr. Harris, my security chief, and Ms. Green, my lawyer." My mother blinked in surprise. "Security for Thanksgiving dinner?"
she asked.
"Just a precaution," my grandfather replied with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. "You can never be too careful with family these days." Dinner began, but it was far from a normal family gathering. It was a battlefield. My grandfather sat at the head of the table, calm and composed. My parents sat across from him, forcing smiles on their faces. I sat between them, the only one who knew the truth. My grandfather started carving the turkey slowly. "David, I heard the department you're managing isn't performing well. Is that true?" he asked. My father stiffened, his fork halfway to his mouth. "We're handling it. These things take time," he replied nervously. My grandfather murmured, "Years of my hard work, and still no progress. Curious." The silence that followed was deafening. My mother tried to change the subject. "Mr. Thompson, let's just enjoy dinner." "No business talk tonight," she said. My grandfather smiled faintly. "You're right, Linda. Let's talk about family. Tiffany, my dear, why don't you pour the champagne? I'd like to see how steady your hands are." My heart skipped a beat. I reached for the bottle, my hands shaking slightly. The golden liquid flowed smoothly into each glass. When I got to my grandfather's, he lifted a hand. "Allow me," he said softly. He took the bottle from me, poured his own, and then casually switched his glass with my father's. I noticed, and so did Ms. Green, whose eyes flickered for a moment. We ate in silence for a few minutes. Then my grandfather set his fork down and said, "David, your mother always said Thanksgiving was about being grateful for what we have, not taking what isn't ours." My father's smile faltered. "We appreciate everything you've given us," he said quickly. My grandfather looked straight at me. "Tiffany has integrity. She doesn't lie or steal." The air in the room seemed to crack. My father's hand tightened around his knife. "What are you implying?" he demanded. My grandfather leaned back, completely calm. "I'm not implying anything. I'm just reminding you that greed has consequences." Then he raised his glass. "To family," he said. My father hesitated, but then lifted his glass and took a big gulp. For a split second, everything was still. Then the color drained from his face. "What did you do?" he gasped. My grandfather smiled faintly. "Just a taste of what it feels like when trust is betrayed. It's not poison, just a mild sedative. You'll be fine in a few minutes, but now you know what it's like to be at someone's mercy." My mother jumped to her feet. "Mr. Thompson, how dare you?" she shouted. My grandfather's gaze cut through her. "Is it daring or is it justice?" "You can't prove anything," she stammered. My grandfather nodded towards Mr. Harris, who tapped on his tablet. A video started playing on the large TV behind us. The voices on the video were unmistakable, my parents plotting to kill my grandfather. My mother's face turned as white as a sheet. "Where did you get that?" she whispered. "Your phones. You forgot to hang up, and Tiffany heard everything. She called me right away," my grandfather said coolly. Both of their heads snapped towards me. "You told him," my mother hissed. "I saved his life. Someone had to," I shot back. My father slammed his fist on the table. "You stupid girl. You've ruined everything." My grandfather stood up. "No, you ruined yourselves. As of this morning, I've transferred all my assets, including the mansion and the company, to a charitable foundation under Tiffany's management. I built this family on integrity, not greed." My father's breathing became ragged. "You can't just cut us off. We're your family," he pleaded. My grandfather's voice rose. "Blood means nothing without honor. You tried to kill me for money. Your own father," my father shouted back. "You always controlled everything. The business, the will, my life." My grandfather thundered. "You think stealing my empire will make you a better person? You're just a weak, greedy man." My mother covered her ears, trembling. "Stop it, both of you," she cried. But my grandfather didn't stop. "You wanted my empire? Now you'll face the consequences." Just then, there was a knock on the door. 2 police officers stepped inside. "Mr. Thompson, we received your report. Are these the people you mentioned?" one of the officers asked. My grandfather nodded. "Yes, that's my son and his wife. They tried to harm me. You'll find evidence inside." As my parents were being led away, my mother screamed, "You ruined this family, Tiffany." I shook my head. "No, you did." After the police cars disappeared down the driveway, my grandfather put a gentle hand on my shoulder. "You are incredibly brave, Tiffany," he said. "It doesn't feel like bravery." "It feels like I lost my parents," I whispered. He replied, "You had to lose the rotten parts to save what's truly valuable." In the following days, reporters camped outside our gates, eager for the scandal. But my grandfather refused all interviews. Justice doesn't need an audience.
It just needs peace, he said.
2 weeks later, the verdict came. My parents were given 3 years probation and 200 hours of community service at a local shelter. They were also forbidden to contact my grandfather or me for 5 years. That night, my grandfather and I sat by the fireplace, sipping tea. To truth and peace, he said, raising his cup. I raised mine and replied, to a new beginning. A month later, winter had settled over New York. The mansion felt different, quieter and lighter. My grandfather and I decorated the Christmas tree just like my grandmother used to do. Silver or gold? I asked, holding 2 ribbons. Silver, he said. Gold represents the past. As we stood back to admire the twinkling lights, I felt a sense of peace. Family isn't just about blood. It's about those who stand by you when the world falls apart. I knew I would honor my grandfather's legacy with integrity and truth.